Hey Donna, what did you just finish over here? What did you eat?
What did I not eat? I ate the chocolate chip cookie. I ate 2 Moroccan cookies and a raspberry cookie.
We have some nice little yummies here.
Yes, we do.
We have some nice little treats for our what is this? Episode 11?
Episode 11, November 26th, day before Thanksgiving.
Is it the 26th?
It is the
27th.
Oh, sorry, 27th.
You was a day behind.
I am. I'm
A
sorry.
day late. It's maybe the 26th in the U.S. right now.
That's right.
On the East Coast.
But I feel like I just had Thanksgiving, which happy early Thanksgiving to everyone tomorrow. But
you had a sweet Thanksgiving.
I did, just now.
Mm-hmm. That was yummy.
It was delicious.
So we're sitting here with our Arabic coffee and Moroccan walnut cookies.
Those are so
They
delicious.
are yummy. And the raspberry cookies.
You know, I actually searched that recipe and I could not find it. Did I tell you that?
The Moroccan ones?
Yes. They are absolutely delicious. And didn't you say they're like
80% walnuts.
Yeah.
It's real tasty.
They're amazing. They are.
And along with that, I'm eating some termis, which is, I guess it's, you can see them sometimes in the grocery stores and some of the grocery stores in the U.S., but they call them lupini beans.
Oh, okay.
But in Kuwait, they sell this termis or lupini beans in little bags, like usually on the street corners, right?
Yeah.
With the other thing that we don't have in the U.S., which is the bennek, which a lot of people, my husband eats a lot.
I've never
popping
tried
the seeds.
those.
Because they have thick shells, so they eat them like sunflower seeds, and they just sit around, especially when they're sitting around with family gatherings or whatever, with bags of bennek and just popping them and eating them. I can't eat them because it would just probably break my tooth in half. But I can eat the termis, the lupini beans, because they're tasty.
Oh, they are. They're delicious.
Mm-hmm.
They're very good. I like them with this. I mean, would you call it a shell? It's
It
not
is
really
kind of
a
like
shell, but it's kind of like a
skin.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's a thick skin.
Yeah.
So most people pop them and eat, but you eat the whole thing.
I do.
I eat it sometimes. If there's no place to put the shell, I will eat it. Remember when you were
Sounds
little?
weird,
You
you
remember
know?
how when you were little and you used to, like, if you didn't have any place to put your gum, you just swallowed it? You remember that?
Yes. And I also remember putting my legs up in the desk and my knee getting stuck to someone's nasty gum.
Oh.
In the desk in school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we would get in trouble, like.
Oh, yeah. People still did it, though.
Yeah, and I remember I had a Spanish teacher, Mr. Hernandez, if you're listening out there. I remember him one time because my brother-in-law was in the Spanish class with me, and if somebody was chewing gum, he'd say, "Take that piece of gum out and put it in your chair and sit on it."
Really?
Yeah.
Was he serious?
Yeah.
I have never heard a teacher say that to me.
But not to me.
Or not to me, to the class,
Yeah, no, he was funny.
Could you imagine saying that to our students now?
Oh. No, that
Be
would
in
not
trouble.
fly. That would not fly.
Be in trouble. Have you ever had any kind of job that you would be in a situation that would be acceptable?
Oh, my God. Jobs.
Oh, goodness.
I was just thinking about,
What was your first job?
First jobs. It's hard to say. I mean, okay, like legit job, because of course I did babysitting and stuff like that. When I was in middle school, I guess, back in the day, we used to babysit even when we were fairly young. I think my first like legit job was in high school, and I worked at a store called J.B. White's, which was a department store.
Okay.
And I started off at Christmas time, and then I just stayed on with them, and I was like one of they called them 10 pages. And have you ever heard, maybe, I don't know, in department stores when there would be a buzz, like you'd hear it over their speaker and say 1025, 1025. And that was me. And I would have to run to the different departments if they had problems or if they had too many people, I'd have to open another register, or they had a problem with their register, which is really weird. Like if they had a problem with their register.
Did you have a special key?
No, but
code?
If they
Did
had
you
a
have
problem
a
with
code?
a register, I must have had some different ways of looking things up, because I can't imagine that I was the one who was responsible for fixing the register. Like, give me a hammer.
Right.
But I was.
Aw.
And I also did, like, one time I remember working in the China department, because 10 pages would just go in and fill in if they needed something. And they're like, we need some help with engraving.
Oh, wow. Oh, y'all did engraving in the store.
Yeah, but it was not really engraving. It was more like, you know how people get wedding gifts and be like wine goblets or whatever, and then they want to put their initials on it, and they like sandblast them on there.
Oh, okay.
I did some sandblasting.
Oh, that's fun. That is fun. My first job was in the mall at a Sanrio store.
Okay.
I had a major fascination with Hello Kitty, Keroppi, all of those Sanrio characters. I was never really into Disney. Into the Disney characters, Mickey Mouse, but I loved Hello Kitty. It was an obsession for many years.
I rember you liking them when I first knew you.
Yeah, I'm over it.
You got over it.
It took me getting in my 30s to get over it.
But they are cute, and the designs. I like all those little Japanese designs. I think they're really cute.
Me too. Yeah, I remember working in that store. Okay, so you did engraving or sandblasting.
Only one time.
And I wrote on the little pencil cases with those markers.
Aww.
And we would have to write in like bubble letters. You know, you would write the letter and you would put the little bubbles on top or so. I just wrote with markers.
That's cute.
I didn't do any engraving.
Well, they probably shouldn't have turned me loose with any power equipment, but
that's cute.
I was
like
back
that.
with it, yeah. It was some interesting times.
Oh, yeah.
I've had many, many jobs, and you've had many jobs, too.
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
What is one of the, now I'm asking you this, and I'm trying to think for myself, too. What is one of the, what was your least favorite job that you've had?
Working at a fast food restaurant.
What did you do?
What you do at fast food restaurants.
Did you prepare? They didn't have like a legit, like you're by the register, you're on the register, or you're preparing.
I remember doing drive-through, and that sucked. And also preparing the food. I did not enjoy that as well. I hated that. I really did. I was young though, and it was a job. So, but no, that to me was the worst job. What about you? I really didn't like working around food. Anyways, or having to clean things. I didn't like that as well.
I didn't work fast food, but I did work. I did work in the food and beverage business when I worked at the Hyatt Hotel by the pool.
Oh, that's nice.
In Hilton Head. I worked there for a little while. But I will say that I was not a very good waitress.
Oh.
Because I did not handle the heat very well, so I would often be hiding wherever the air conditioning was. I was like, forget about the tips.
Do you find it that working at a place, let's say, for example, let me try to put this in the way I'm thinking it. You know, like you see this place, it's like a really nice place. Everyone knows it. It's amazing, you know, but yet working there is not the same as visiting it as like a customer or a client. You know what I mean? Like working there is a whole different situation than, do you get what I mean? Like you worked at this really posh, nice resort, right?
Yeah.
But you know, where people would come spend a lot of money, spend time there, whatever, that was their vacation place.
Right.
But yet for you working there, it was a completely different situation. You know?
And plus, and you know, because you're from the areas where touristy people come to it too. But for like, we were, because you, all of a sudden you become, we're a local and you're a tourist.
Yeah.
But because and especially if you're in the food and beverage business, and a lot of those people, like the people at Hilton Head that was like their career they made out of being in the food and beverage business, and they would work in Hilton Head during the summertime, and then during the wintertime they would go up to Colorado and work in the ski resorts and stuff like that. So,
so that was like their career thing.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how long they stayed with it. I don't know if they continued with that. I can't imagine that they would keep. I did that in my my late teens, early college year, and as a break from college. But I think you set in that kind of situation, you set yourself up as like, we're the locals and they're the tourists, and then oh my God, they're so annoying. And I remember being at the pool deck one time, and people were like, and I hate to say this, but we always thought it was like the people from Ohio that would come. Sorry, there's some lovely people from Ohio, but they would come. I remember them being on the pool. They're like, "There's a dolphin! There's a dolphin!" And the other one, like, "Come over and look at the dolphins!" And then asking one of the lifeguards, he was like, "Do people ever ride the dolphins?" Like, seriously, asking things like
maybe
that.
they thought it was like SeaWorld or something.
I
Or
remember.
the places that you can actually get in the water with the dolphins, maybe?
I mean, we were like on the ocean.
Okay.
But I remember the lifeguard, he looked at him, he goes, yeah, how do you think I got to work today? Like,
Smart ass. That's funny.
yeah. But yeah.
Okay, looking back, was there ever a job that you had that you wish you would have stayed at it longer? For me, there is.
There is?
I think
What?
whenever I worked for Delta,
You wish you'd stayed there longer?
yeah, I wish I would have stayed working there longer.
Really?
Yeah, I hated waking up super early because I had the very early shift, like 4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
It was very early. I mean, I did not like the timing, but I felt that they
You
did
liked the
have
job?
good. Yeah, they did have good benefits. I
Yeah.
liked, different people every day. I liked the energy of the airport. I did like that. But
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. I don't think there's anything that I feel like. I kind of feel like, no, everything has kind of led me to where I am. So I don't really have any, like, looking back feeling like I should have stayed somewhere longer. I did work in a dry cleaner for a day.
oh, you did. I worked in many places for not even
day.
1 hour, and
Yeah.
I would, and my excuse was, I left the bag I left my purse in the car. Can I go get it?
And you just took off.
And I would leave.
I remember my dad got me a job with the dry cleaners, because it was a friend of his who owned the chain of dry cleaners. And he was like, well, you could go work for there. So I went and worked, and I was like, this is not what I had in mind. Because I thought dry cleaners, like, I was just going to be, because they have those cute little conveyor belts that the clothes come on
You
and
thought
everything.
you were just going to hang it up and it was going to clean
I thought
itself.
I thought I was just going to take those clothes and hand them to people and give them the change or whatever. I didn't realize that people brought, like, their dirty laundry there, and that you had to take it out of the bags. And we were right near Fort Jackson, so there was a lot of soldiers that would come and drop stuff off, and nothing wrong with that, but it was just like I was not prepared for the dirty laundry.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, yeah, I
Maybe
think I got to
stinky
go.
and- Ooh.
I don't know what I was thinking. I really can't handle having a job right now.
This is too much work.
Yeah. But now that's different from here, don't you think? Because
Yeah.
although you do see some people doing that now,
Mm-hmm.
you don't see many, like, high school kids here working, right?
No, not at all. Not at all.
I mean, and that is a place of privilege. And I will say, like, I worked because I wanted to work,
Mm-hmm.
But so many people work because they need to have that extra income. Maybe they're helping the family out or whatever like that. But you do see now some Kuwaiti, like, is it high school? No, it would be like
I've
college,
seen that, like early college years, maybe.
who are doing part-time jobs
Yeah,
now.
and they want to.
Yeah.
They want the extra income.
Yeah, and they want to learn about, like, being responsible and real life.
I like that.
What do you think are the biggest things that you took away from working when you were in high school? Because I don't think you were working necessarily for the money or just.
I liked it because it gave me independence. I felt
Okay.
I like to make my own money, not ask for anything,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. I've always liked that, to do for myself and to be able to, just, I don't know. It just, I guess, give you a sense of independence, maybe.
How do
That's
you
it.
feel like did it? Okay, looking back on it,
Yeah.
can you remember, like, your first experiences with people who were not necessarily people that they were not people maybe that you would have run into, like, in your circle of people, like in high school or whatever, like maybe you came in contact with different kind of people or whatever. Do you remember, like,
yeah.
interactions with people?
I would definitely say two separate places, actually. Well, first of all, working for the airline. That's
Mm-hmm.
one thing, because you meet people from everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere. But I remember one time I was working in Hallmark. I told you I've worked everywhere. And I remember this group of French tourists coming in, and they did not speak any English, or at least if they did, they refused to speak it with me.
Oh, okay.
And I was
Surprising.
a cashier. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was in the mall, and yeah, it was. I remember the situation because they came up and they were buying some things, and I was, like, ringing them up, and I told the lady how much, and she just, like, looked at me, and I had to point to the register where it actually says it, like,
The amount?
yeah,
Okay.
and and it was a bit frustrating though, because I thought, okay, like they weren't speaking English, which is, I know that sounds silly, but yeah, they were, and then I was like, where are you from? And we were trying to figure out how to communicate with each other. But yeah, that situation definitely was different than what I was used to,
Do you think that being like, what I'm trying to say is like looking back at like your first experiences, like what do we gain from working as at a high school type age, in dealing with other people and communication skills and learning about other people, that people who don't ever work, they don't have experience with that. Do you think that there are benefits in working and coming into contact with people who would not necessarily be in your social circle or not be in your everyday life? Do you think that we gain things by working other than just money?
I mean, I'm sure you do. I would have to have a think about that one. But I don't know, for me, it teaches you, I don't know, I never looked at it as in the people that you meet in your circle and like your social circle, what you're used to at school. But for me, it's more like it teaches you about life and responsibility and
getting along with other people.
Well, yeah, like, getting along with other people, also skills that you need, maybe things that you didn't learn in a classroom setting. It was like real life things that you had to deal with, and basically like. What is it called? Like you're in a situation and you have to think on your feet, and you have to, when a problem arises, how to solve it, a lot of things like that, to me, they're not taught from a textbook and in class, you just have to learn them like right there on the job.
Right. I get what you're saying. I'm thinking.
No, sorry, I don't have an answer.
No,
for
but
that
I'm thinking
one.
like I'm thinking about people. Sometimes like when you have a class and you have and we're doing like group work or you're doing pair work, and sometimes I see that students are hesitant to wanting to work with people who are not their friend or not somebody that they've clicked with in class, and I always tell them, no, you don't have to marry them, you just have to work with them for this thing. But I'm thinking like when you're in high school, like I think that I learned, even though I don't, I wasn't really aware that I was learning it. But I think that what I took from working a lot of times was that you can get along with people for a time period, and they don't necessarily have to be your best friend, right? But they could be somebody that you're with at that moment, and you can get along with them at that moment on that kind of level. But then later on, you don't have to necessarily keep up with them, or they don't have to be somebody that you learn, how to put on different hats or different faces. Yeah. To deal with different people in your lives, but they don't necessarily have to be somebody that you would be, your buddies with.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just wondering.
That is true. You definitely run into all different kind of characters in all walks of life in your job. You sure do. All right. So, actually, we received three separate emails from people that from listeners that wrote in, and I'm going to read.
One of them was similar to what we were just talking about, right? Is that
which one?
Talking about friends and getting along with people and stuff like that, or no?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I will read that one first.
I was just thinking that was kind of connected.
Let me get it
in some kind of way.
All right. That was Trina.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the one from Trina. Alrighty. So, this is from Trina, and she is in Tennessee. Hello, Trina.
Hey, Trina.
She sent us a short message, and I'm going to read it. So, here we go. All right. Recently, I ran across your podcast. You asked for a recommendation for subjects that listeners would like to hear about, and I thought to write it. My suggestion is about friendship and fading friendships. Recently, a very close friend of mine that I have been friends with for more than 10 years has been slowly dwindling away. She and I are very close, and we have shared many things in life. Recently, I find myself getting agitated by her, and our lives just don't seem to be flowing in the same direction. Even though we have been with each other through many ups and downs, I feel it is more of a chore to communicate with her now. In y'all's opinion, do you think, since we have been friends for so many years, that I should try to salvage the friendship or let it go? She is a good person, but I feel our lives are going in separate directions. I feel conflicted and sad, and that I'm even having these thoughts. But it weighs on my mind most of the time. I feel we talk just out of habit, but not because we truly value each other's company. I would love to hear your opinion and what you think I should do. Let the friendship end or let it take its course. Do I push to keep the friendship alive even if I hate speaking to her now? I know this is kind of off topic than the usual subjects, but I felt compelled to write it. Sincerely, Trina. Alrighty.
That's nice. Well, thanks for writing in, first of all. I mean, it's a different slant on things.
Yeah.
But it is kind of connected to what we're saying.
That's true.
I don't know. I mean, I think through the course of my life, there have been many friends that have come and gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yes. Yes.
I say it's always best to be authentic. Mm-hmm. Like for me, but this is different because I am an INFJ. I think that's what it is.
You're an INFJ?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, it's interesting you said that. My sister talks about that all the time. INFJ. She's an INFJ.
Okay. I'm an INFJ. But for those of you who are like, what the heck? Just intuitive. Intuitive? No, introspective. No, what is it?
Don't ask me, girl.
Introvert, intuitive, feeling, judging. Okay. But anyway, for me, I would much rather be authentic. Mm-hmm. And if I had a friend that I was feeling like it was forced, I wouldn't force it. I mean, that's just me. I would much rather lay the cards on the table and just be like, what's this all about? If you had to be with that person, just try to put it out in the open.
Would you sit and like bring it up to her? Like, look, I feel like we are, would you actually just say it like we shouldn't talk anymore? Or?
No, I would do one of two things.
Okay.
So if it were, something that was like, she's picking up the phone and calling me or whatever, I would go along. I would go with the flow, but I wouldn't seek it out. Mm-hmm. But then if it were to come to pass where it was like, here is an issue or something, or why don't you call me, or then I would bring it up. Mm-hmm. Like if it showed itself as an opportunity to like be truthful about it.
Yeah.
But for me, I wouldn't necessarily want it. That's painful. Don't you think that's like energetically painful to try to force something that doesn't feel natural? I don't know. What do you think?
No, I completely agree with you. I mean, I know I've been in situations like that where people call just because I guess they feel like it's their weekly duty just to call, just to like keep the connection.
Yeah.
But yet it's like the actual friendship isn't really there anymore.
Right.
There's nothing really in common anymore. Mm-hmm. There's nothing, truly, it's just kind of like a waste of time speaking. And that's sad. It can be. It's definitely a sad situation, especially if you do love the other person,
If you do, don't you? You'll still have, like, sometimes if you just
like, I'm there for you.
Yeah.
But like,
if you
people,
love them,
and people change, and
yeah.
people definitely change, So.
And there's some people that you have, like I have a couple of friends, in South Carolina, that will always be my good friends, and even though we're very different, like when I see them, it doesn't matter. We still have that close connection. We still have that really strong friendship because it's based on something that goes beyond, what we're doing in our lives or whatever like that. We have a core, kind of a core connection.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter. But people that I think that you're connected to through like more superficial kind of connections, like maybe you're just connected because you both, because both of your kids are on a soccer team or something like that, then I don't see any point in necessarily keeping that up.
Yeah.
Do you?
I would agree with you. I totally agree.
Hope we helped in some kind of way to think about it at least.
That's right. All right.
What you got?
The next one. This is from Johnathan from Cleveland, Ohio. And he writes, "Hello, Caroline and Donna. Thank you for your podcast. I ran across it while searching for travel and expat shows. I found it interesting to hear from two American women in the Gulf. I am in the U.S. Marine Corps. I was stationed in Iraq during a tour of duty twice and was able to see Kuwait in transit before entering Iraq with my platoon. 2012 was when I got to see some parts of Kuwait. Our base was out in the desert. I remember the drivers picking up the soldiers and taking us from one base to another. It was very fascinating to go from desert 1 minute to seeing a shiny high-rise building the next. Our driver had mentioned to us that Kuwait was known for having many car accidents, and by the way he was driving, it didn't surprise any of us jarheads that were in the van. At the base, I remember vendors coming to sell things to the soldiers. Also, there were amazing restaurants on the base that provided Arabic food, which many of us were not used to. One of the most delicious dishes we had was a spiced rice dish with some meat. I can remember my buddies and me always making our way over to get the rice whenever we could, as it was way tastier than what was in the mess hall. Listening to your podcast has been very interesting because some of the things you have mentioned, I would haven't ever thought were available or even provided there, as we weren't allowed to really get out and explore. Thanks for bringing this new insight to that part of the world, and I look forward to hearing more from you guys. Many thanks, Johnathan. You're welcome, Johnathan.
Well, that's nice. Well, no, it's nice just to hear somebody out there who can relate to some of what we're sharing.
Yeah.
Right?
I know that here, there are a lot of troops here at the bases, as well as this is a stop for a lot of contractors. And I don't know why they stop in Kuwait, but contractors meaning they also go to
in between place.
Yeah, Iraq, the ones that also go to Afghanistan, and the surrounding areas. A lot of times they fly them into Kuwait first. And I know my stepbrother, when he was a contractor in Afghanistan, and he flew into Kuwait, and he was here for a couple of days. And I remember he told me, I met him when he came here, and also took him to the airport when he left, but he had went to 360, and he has stories he remembers in the mall, 360 the mall. He actually was staying at a villa in Zahra.
Okay.
Yeah, in Zahra. So, but yeah, and he remembers just that, the very little bit that he was here, going to the mall, seeing the different things that, the stores, things like that. And, but yeah, a lot of them do stop here. And that's really cool. Thanks, Johnathan, for writing in.
And it's interesting too, because people do, it is a stopover place, but even historically, it's been the passing through place. Even if you look at the Silk Road, when the spice route and the trading route or whatever, Kuwait was always kind of like a passing through place. And my husband talked about how, if you go to the downtown area where there's the gate, for Kuwait, there's the big gate, which used to be the wall around the country. And my husband was saying how they used to close it at night. So they used to lock up the country at night.
That's cute.
And one time his father got locked out and had to sleep on the other side of the gate.
Aww.
He couldn't get in the country. He was locked out.
That's sad.
Had to sleep on the other side for the night because he was after curfew.
That's cute. I like that. Well, working in the schools here, a lot of teachers, they say Kuwait is just transit.
Yeah.
For the ones that aren't living here or
moving all around.
Yeah, that will be moving on. They just say, Kuwait is the transit area. Where are you going to next afterward?
Yeah.
But this is home for me.
Yep.
It's home for me. All right. So we have one last one, and this is also from someone in Ohio.
What's going on with Ohio?
Everyone's snowed in. I don't know if they are not snowed in and having to listen to podcasts. So this is from Cindy, and it says, I recently had a situation where I was under the notion of something, and it turned out to be the complete opposite of what I thought. My daughter told me that she had met a boy in the university, and she wanted to bring him to Thanksgiving to meet the family. That's tomorrow. All right. He is from a part of town that is well known for being crime-stricken. From the little bit of information she told my husband and I, we assumed the worst, that he was a problem child and was up to no good. All based on where she said he was from. Basically from the other side of the tracks. We have been torn over allowing her to bring him to family Thanksgiving this week. So my husband decided he wanted to meet the young man first. We invited him to Applebee's for dinner last week, and we felt really bad when we met him that we judged him before even meeting him. He turned out to be one of the nicest young men we had ever met. He is intelligent, studying hard at the university. He's majoring in engineering. He works 2 jobs to support his schooling and his disabled mother, and also takes care of his younger sister on the weekends. I can't explain how bad my husband and I have felt for having preconceived notions about him. After hearing your episode about how people go into things or places having ideas about them, and then it turns out to be the opposite of what they thought, reminded me of the situation with my daughter and her new date. Thank you for letting me share my short story. I hope that any families out there that are meeting new people during the holiday season will do so with open arms and hearts, knowing that everyone is facing their own battles. People now are so quick to judge others when they don't even know the other circumstances. That's true. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And do you guys celebrate Thanksgiving in Kuwait? Good question.
No.
No. Yeah.
I mean, some people probably do, right?
Yeah. I know that also there are some hotels here that also do provide like
even the grocery store. Sultan Center used to have a big...
Yeah, they provide the...
whole meal, like turkey. You could buy all of that stuff.
Turkey with stuffing, cranberry sauce.
I will say that is one thing that I have... Like initially when we first came, I was doing Thanksgiving meals. Yeah. I've kind of let that fall by the wayside.
Yeah.
I'm just not...
Are you doing a Thanksgiving meal tomorrow?
No.
Yeah, we're not either.
No.
But, I mean, to be honest, for me, Thanksgiving was never really my favorite holiday.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's just because it was it was nice because it's a family time.
Yeah.
But, I mean, when you don't have it off.
Yeah.
You don't have it off from work or whatever, then, you know, you kind of feel like, am I really going to make this big effort for something that's...
Yeah, true.
You know?
That's
like,
true.
I'll just be thankful.
Yeah.
But I'll just...
You should be thankful all year long.
Yeah. And it's weird because nobody in my family, and I'm a vegetarian, but nobody in my family really likes turkey. Okay. And so we just always had like a huge... Like we had turkey soup for years. It felt like, you know, I'm going to freeze some turkey. Yeah, we had turkey sandwiches. Yeah, all of that stuff.
Well, that's cool. Well, yeah, same for me. I'm not doing anything, and I don't know. It's just not. No, if I was in the States, it would be nice to do. Thanksgiving
but I wanted to say something. What was her name again? What was her name again? The last story that you just read?
Cindy.
Okay.
Yeah, Cindy from Ohio. I don't know where in Ohio.
But I was going to say that is, your story reminded me of when my husband first came to meet. My grandmother lived with us. My mother's mother lived with us for many years, and her sister too. And she was born in 1900.
Oh, wow.
And she was like 103 when she died. Oh. But so, I mean, I'm setting that stage because she was from old school. I mean, really old school.
Right.
But when she met my husband, I'm sure, first of all, I don't know what kind of background knowledge she had about people from the Middle East.
Yeah.
If any.
Yeah.
But her meeting my husband, I'm sure, was a big shocker to her. Like, she probably felt like, this is very odd. But I remember her saying how much, and I heard her talking to friends who would come over and visit, how much of a good person that he was. Aww. She was surprised at because he was, you know, in this culture here, it's all about family and all about taking care of people and all about like respecting the elders and stuff like that. So he was very caring and with her, and he would always be like, you know, trying to take her stuff and move stuff for her and get her situated and helping her, and does she want whatever. And so I think that if I'm sure that she was not the only one in my family probably who thought it was odd that I was marrying somebody from such a different culture, and one that they had no knowledge of. Yeah. Really, or if they did have any knowledge of it, it was probably not favorable.
All things that they've seen on TV and movies.
Right. I mean, I heard a lot of things, you know, why are you, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So,
I know.
But everybody who has gotten to know my husband and his family, because his family different members have come to the U.S. and visited too. They've been like, oh my gosh, they're so nice. I can't believe how, they're so friendly. They're so outgoing and welcoming and everything. So I can totally relate to that, like thinking in one way in your mind about something and then actually opening up your mind enough to really actually see the other person and make your own opinion. That's hard to do in this day and time.
And it's funny, people are judged a lot just for where they come from.
Mm-hmm. Immediately.
Yeah.
Sight unseen.
Yeah. Like it can be, I mean, just like Cindy said, from, your town, and like, this part of town, he's from that part. It's like, then all of a sudden, it's like, you think that you know everything about that person just because of,
right.
the area of the city that they come from. So.
And you can even take it down smaller than that and even say like that family or that,
Yeah.
like people are just so quick to stereotype or lump everybody into one category and just, put a label on them.
That's
I
true.
don't know if it feels like it makes life easier if you can just say, oh, those people are like this, those people are like that. And then you just categorize everything and then you can just narrow things down just to your own little, your own little worldview or your own little philosophy.
That is true.
But you're missing out on a lot.
That is true.
You're really missing out on a lot if you don't get to know people who are different than you are.
Yeah.
I think.
I agree.
I think.
I agree.
So
what else do we have?
I know what I wanted to talk about was did we talk about this last time? Because I wanted to say did we talk about things that we learned? We did, didn't we?
Things we learned where?
That like our parents told us.
No, I don't think we went over that.
We didn't.
No,
because
you had some cute ones.
I was going to put my dad on blast.
Okay, tell us.
Because when you were talking about swallowing gum, that's what we were talking about, right? A little while ago, eating the tiramisu and swallowing and how your parents told you when you were little about those kind of things. So it reminded me of stories that, like, what did they ever tell you? I think that they were just trying to, keep you safe or whatever.
Yeah.
But what are some of the things that your parents, okay, I will tell you something that because my dad told me many things. And he doesn't remember some of them, but this is for you, Dad, because, okay, the first thing that I remember my dad told me, because we come from a long line of worriers, not warriors, not fighters, but worriers. And my dad used to tell us things to try to keep us safe, like if it's storming outside, you have to turn off the television because if lightning strikes the television set while you're watching it, you could go blind.
Okay.
Well, you can imagine how well that went over when I was sitting around with my college buddies.
Okay.
And I told them to turn off the television. They're like, "What the heck are you talking about?"
All right.
I was like, and then I had to call my dad. That one. Another one he told us was...
What about riding the bike? You had told me about riding the
bikes, like, because we rode our bikes everywhere when I was little, like in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we would ride our bikes down to the Cleland's house, our friends, and we would all go riding around the neighborhoods, and Dad would be like, be careful when you're riding your bike because the new car engines are very quiet and they can sneak up behind you. And so my sister and I would ride our bikes and be like looking over our shoulders for those silent stealth cars that might swoop in and run over us while we were riding. What else? And you didn't have they didn't tell you, like, when you're like if you were eating something and you wanted to go swimming, that you had to wait like 30 minutes after you ate before you would go swimming?
Okay, I've heard something like that. I don't remember if my parents told me that or not, but I have heard something like that. I remember, like, and I don't even remember if my mother told me this or who told me, but don't swallow the watermelon seeds or something. A watermelon will grow. Mm-hmm. Was it a vine?
Watermelon vine in your stomach?
Oh my gosh, I thought it was actual watermelon.
Well, yeah, I mean, eventually a watermelon would come. if you got enough sunshine.
The vine comes first, though.
Yeah, yes. Okay. You got to grow the vine. It's like
also the chewing gum. Like, don't swallow the gum. It doesn't digest for how many years?
Oh, it just stays in your intestinal tract until you die, probably. Eventually you'd be all gummed up.
And they say now that watermelon seeds are like some like the most healthiest seeds that you can eat.
Beneficial. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, makes sense. Everybody eats all the different seeds, pumpkin seeds, all those things. Yeah.
That is true.
Don't tell your kids things that will embarrass them later on in life when they repeat them, Dad, when they repeat them to people and they are not true.
That's cute. I love that. Well,
anyway, that was wrapping it up.
Oh, yes.
So contact us, guys, please, with questions, comments, stories, anything that you can add that would make this more flavorful. And you could do that on Desert Coffee Chats podcast on Instagram.
You can send us a direct message.
Yes.
Please follow us and
like us. Give us a rating on Apple Podcast or Spotify or any of the major platforms. We're on all of them now.
And we're on BuzzSprout, iTunes, Spotify, Soundcloud, iHeartRadio, and we're also on YouTube.
Oh, that's right.
For those of you that do not like the podcast apps, our audio is on YouTube, and we are. You can just search Desert Coffee Chats, and you will see us.
Join in on the conversation.
Yes, and we do look forward to hearing from you. And you can email us as well at desertcoffeechats@gmail.com.
Yes.
And we will.
Hope you have a lovely day or evening wherever you are in this world.
Yep. And we will be back.
See you.
Have a happy Thanksgiving
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Definitely.
All right.
Get some